Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, it's 3/5 of them boys. So you know what that means? We're here and we're here to talk about the AEW Dynasty. It's me, the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
Double V, the Viceroy, very similar to me too, Nico Luro.
And Big Tone, aka the champion in the zone.
Suck my cat.
Right. Okay. I am very much going to be on a hosting level here because I've not had the time to catch this pay-per-view. I literally wikied away. How dare you? All right, do what you need to do.
Host.
I'm hosting. That's how I control, but it's all good. Yeah. So I'm gonna go for initial reactions from you both of this pay-per-view.
Let the champion speak first.
Well, look, in a summary, this was one of the best pay-per-views I've seen. That's not cap. There was a good 5 matches on here that could easily be match of the night, if not like a contender for match of the year. Yeah, and like there's a certified classic on there. I don't care. Like it's not recency bias. Like, listen, you cannot see that match and not say it is one of the greatest like works of art on a wrestling canvas that you've ever seen, man. It's brilliant. And then on top of that, they made history, man. You know, crowning the first ever African American AEW champion. There's a lot to be said about Dynasty, which is funny because in the run-up, I was a little bit worried about some aspects of it. Like it didn't seem like I was like 100% invested in like some of the build that they did. Like it was okay in some places, like the main event that was pretty good. Yeah, but other stuff like FTR versus the Bucks again was like, But
I loved it.
The show itself, honestly, man, it delivered in spades, and I couldn't be more happy.
So I'm in a bit of a different position to you, Tom, because I unfortunately I social media messed me up. I found out what all the match results were before seeing them, and the thing is, this proves how true it is to have emotion and uncertainty working in perfect tandem to enjoy wrestling. Because I looked. Let's talk about Ospreay Danielson, because I looked at that match, but I knew how it ended, and though my prediction was for Ospreay to win, what AEW on their pay-per-views do very well is that they inject that 1% to 10%. And as AJ even said in his prediction, I'm like, if there was going to be someone to stop Ospreay's run, I mean, Danielson is not a bad shout. You do have that 1% because you're like, well, yeah, Danielson beating Ospreay is not like, it wouldn't be an unheard of thought. And that could set up then a series of matches for them. They could have played it that way. But because I knew Ospreay won, I was like, oh, that's really annoying. Let me just sit back and watch this as a purest, beautiful wrestling match, which it was. But the problem is that I didn't have the uncertainty and the emotion was gone. So I kind of got robbed of how good this match was. I think if I had not known the result, I'd probably be singing the same song as Dave Meltzer at the moment, going, that's maybe the best match ever that's aired in North America. I know people will say, what about Omega and Ospreay? I'm like, that was Canada. And, obviously doesn't count for Mexico and for Japan, but in it's so hard to say, is this the greatest wrestling match ever objectively? I mean, what about Flair and Steamboat? What about Hogan and Andre? Like, top 25? Sure. You have to. It's in the conversation for one of the greatest matches ever. I wanted to love it more than I did, but I was robbed of the emotion of it. So I'm very bitter about it.
What's weird, and I haven't seen it, and funny enough, I wanted to watch it pre this, and I didn't have a chance to. I was like, I'll get this pay-per-view and see just that match above everything else. But one of the things that I find is sometimes, as long as you don't know how the finish came about, you could still enjoy the match. One of the matches I will quote for that, and some may not, it's obviously not in your top 25 or what have you, but was Rock Cena. Now, that was a match. I knew the result, but I didn't know how it ended. And seeing Cena go for something, seeing Rock kip up and then hit the rock bottom, go for the pin, I lost my ish. Now, I think in the same way, unfortunately for you, but it's something I'm still able to do. I prefer to not know the result so I can completely be in there. But
Yeah, of
every
course.
now and again, you can still get that beauty of a great match while still knowing the result. I prefer not to know. 100% prefer not to know.
For context, like what I would say, and this is obviously a purely subjective thing. I'm not saying that this is factually a better match or not a better match. But it's also to do with the fact that we were there. I thought the best thing I've seen from Ospreay in the last 6 months was what he did at Ref Pro with Michael Oku, just because of the emotion that went into that. You know, we were there, second row. That match was freaking incredible from a storytelling point of view and from emotion. And it didn't have anywhere near the level of stakes that this match had. But because I knew the damn result, there was no 1% left. So from a pure wrestling standpoint, man, this is the closest thing wrestling is ever going to get to a freaking real life Dragon Ball Z fight. Like, it was crazy.
But
Man, I
saying
gotta
that,
admit, I do feel like bad for you, man, because going into it, this was just a work of art, man. The fluidity, that's the way they like just dance together, man. It's like,
Oh, it's crazy.
you're just getting two of the greatest ever, man. Just doing their best at the highest level on the biggest stage. And like the way they flow, like not sometimes even the best get together, they don't have the chemistry you think they should. But in this case, this was not one of those times. They flowed so well.
I'll say this though, that
interesting
ending
thing.
is a complete bloody work. I think it's hysterical that people think that it's he's legitimately concussed again. I'm like, he's working you very well, and if anything, I'm happy that you're being worked because it means that you're buying into the product and you're enjoying it. But it's like, guys,
Yeah.
pulling the curtain back a bit. Ospreay's literally helping Danielson to the back at the end of the match. You can see shots of that on YouTube. No medical professional is allowing Will Ospreay, who is not medically trained, near a man who is having a seizure. No.
No, the reason
If
I
you're
say
having
that,
a seizure and an actual doctor has been called to the ring, you're not allowed near the patient.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
just how.
I didn't know it was a seizure because the reason I was quoting that is because literally at Rev Pro, Will Ospreay made his way to the ring to help out. I can't remember the guy's real name right now, Leighton Buzzard, but that was a leg injury. I didn't know it was a seizure, so I get what you're saying. But
Tiger Driver 91 or Stormbreaker 91, whatever it's called.
94. Tiger Driver 91, Stormbreaker 94.
91. Anyway, it's
Tiger Driver 91.
It was a Tiger Driver. It was a Tiger Driver, essentially. And look, they worked it beautifully because, you know, the story is he dropped him on his head. But when you look at the replay, he did not drop him on his head.
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
Like a proper professional, he took the bump as high up the shoulders as he could, and he worked it beautifully. The problem is, and this is again where watching maybe too much wrestling can become counterintuitive, because Danielson has done this before. It's not the first time where he's done the whole seizure spot. Listen, I like the fact that they're committed to the work, like good for them. I like the fact that that work made its way into the media scrum afterwards, like well done. Will Ospreay is a much better actor than a lot of wrestlers because he was very hamming it up that like he was genuinely like, I'm really worried about him. I'm like, bruv, work of works, but well done. I like the commitment.
Nah, 100%. Like again, watching the match, I knew instantly that was a work. Why? Because again, we watched so much wrestling. We could see he protected him when he hit the driver, and his head landed normally. Not unless it was a freak accident or something, would there have been actually something wrong. But no, it's just a work. It's part of a storyline, you know, and it's good. It's good.
It's very good.
That sequence though was beautiful, man. At the end, man,
stunning.
The way he set him up for that second hidden blade. Bigger beauty, man. Bigger beauty.
The hidden blade coming through the Psycho knee. I was like, God damn.
Like, they played chicken with each other. Like that's
it was
crazy.
So good. It was literally like Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sty Still. Yeah, hysterical.
So here's one that I need to. Okay, go on. I'll let you finish doing it.
I was just gonna say, as a side note, away from this Ospreay Danielson thing, a match which nobody's talking about, which I think is a kind of unsung hero of the night, and I wasn't expecting anything from, was Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly.
Yo,
Dude,
these
I was
guys,
like, yo.
these guys proved, didn't it, why they was like at the top of the card on NXT for so long. Like people forgot about them because of the goofy character that Roderick Strong's had, and maybe the bit of the unsuccessfulness of Undisputed Kingdom. You forget how well these guys can actually wrestle, and they put on a masterclass. Like I said, didn't it? Those are good 5 matches that could be match of the night. Yeah, this was definitely one of them, and they just showed what they could do. Kyle O'Reilly showed why, like, at one point, you know, he was going to be the man. What? Let's not forget, these are former Ring of Honor like world champions doing their thing as well. So it's not that shocking, but it's just good to be reminded of how good they actually are.
Roddy, I've always known he was like an incredible athlete. He's one of the most underrated wrestlers of his, generation for me. But Kyle O'Reilly, I've never been that big on, but Jesus, he won me over on at Dynasty. Like that match, amongst all of the glory of like your Pax and Okadas, the Bucks and FTR, obviously Ospreay Danielson, the main event. I was like, let's give some love to this match because, jeez.
Another match we had to give love to, of course, man. Okada Pac, man. Yeah, that was a great match for me.
It was, but they played it in a way that I think I said this in my prediction. I was like, the one thing I'm worried they're going to do. Okada's known for this. He very much wrestles the match like a kind of 1500 meter. It's like it starts slow and then there's that crazy burst at the end where it's just chain sequence into chain sequence where he just reminds you like, yeah, I may have been slow for the last 15 minutes, but here's 5 minutes of me being the best wrestler in the world. I don't think that slow setting pace that Okada does suited Pac very well. And I don't know, it wasn't bad. Listen, the match was great. And Pac, king of the ragdoll. No one ragdolls like Pac, man. Oh my God, I know people say Finn Balor's a really good seller. He is. Pac is like playing Goat Simulator. Ragdoll physics everywhere. It's insane.
Nah. I can see what you're saying about maybe the pacing, but again, like I don't know, it worked for me personally. Like I happen to look at Pac and think, damn. Just like Roderick Strong, he's one of those guys that is underrated for the amount of talent that he has. He's in prominent positions and everything, but still, he's not really fought on that level as an Omega or Ospreay or Danielson.
And he's beaten them all. That's what's mad. He's beaten them all.
Exactly. And every time he gets in the ring, he shows why he deserves a seat at that table. Yeah. And Dynasty was no exception.
I think being the separation of Death Triangle might give him that, because when they started focusing on the trios, it took him away from that elevation. Because when I think, was it their first Double or Nothing or their All Out or what have you, he was prominent. Like people saw him in that main event status, and then it just gradually dwindled down. Like, I mean, look, he still delivered great matches, but it wasn't at that level. So it's good to know that he's on the come up again. I think that's something to.
And Jesus, he's in good shape. Good Lord. Like he's literally got muscle on muscle and veins between those muscles. It's like, bro.
Mm-hmm. And can we take a moment to acknowledge how good heel Okada is?
And he is a genius. He really is. Because that crowd, kudos to that St. Louis crowd. Man, they were good. And this is the thing, for all of this nonsense, this tribalistic BS that I keep hearing about, yeah, the wrestling is good, but the stadiums are empty. So what? If the wrestling is this good, can we talk about how good the wrestling is? When you want to acknowledge a crowd size, it's not even size. When you want to acknowledge a crowd, it's not about if there's 80,000 people or if there's 8,000. It's about, is the crowd hot? I've always said, that crowd was hot, bro. I keep saying every single episode or episodic TV, your Dynamites, your Raws, your Smackdowns, your Impacts, you need the trifecta to make it a good show. You need to have some good promos, you need to have some good wrestling, and you need to have a hot crowd. When those three things happen, you have a good wrestling show, right? They're not always in your control. Not all of those elements are in your control. But when you can take care of two things and make the third one, which is a hot crowd, happen, my God, it elevates everything. When those three things are working in a perfect trifecta, wrestling is just a thing of beauty. And this was that case. That crowd ate up everything they were doing. And the chanting for Okada, and the fact that he managed to get them to eat out of his hand, turn on a dime. He's going to do the Rainmaker thing. Screw you, misery. And it's like, yeah, then F Okada. And he's just like, he's eating it up. Like, he's a genius. He's an absolute genius.
One thing I gotta say is that, like, Tony Khan played a smart game there. Sometimes bigger isn't always better. Instead of getting these grandiose stadiums that you can't fill, you have to do some madness with a hard cam. Let's get a smaller stadium and sell it out, just like you did at Dynasty.
But
and
this
the
is what he's
visual
doing.
looked great. The sound looked great. Yeah. And, like, you know, you couldn't have convinced me unless I heard it. I didn't even know that it was about 6,000-8,000. Yeah.
No, I think it was a 15,000 stadium.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was about 6,000-8,000, didn't it? Yeah. I didn't know that until they mentioned it. Yeah. I would have been convinced it was 15,000, 20,000, but it wasn't.
To build on this, for context, there is a short, a reel on our channel right now. Den the Tech and I at WrestleMania 39 last year. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in the main event, and I am filming. The crowd is dead. So it was, what was it? Nearly 80,000 people in the SoFi Stadium. It's on the channel. You don't believe me? Go and check it out. The crowd is dead. So I don't care about crowd sizes. I care about crowd engagement. If a 8,000 or 6,000 whatever crowd is going to add to the overall ambience and the quality of the show, F numbers, man.
Yeah,
but equally, would I like to hear 80,000 people that white hot? Yes, of course. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, as you said, it's not. It's actual crowd reaction that means something. I don't know how big the Puerto Rico crowd was for Backlash.
Oh, that was amazing. See, there's a good example.
Look at, we could take Clash and take Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank's a lot smaller, a lot more noise. Granted, open air stadium, there are stuff, even all in.
Acoustics, I get it.
Covered, you know, I think a lot more noise would have been captured. I still feel that's an injustice. So
Wembley's acoustics suck. I've said this so many times.
There are ways, but overall, that's good. But now while we're talking crowd interaction, I have to bring up the match that I'm very aware the crowd were very interactive with.
Hey, here we go.
Changing of the guard and the crowning of the new FTW champion. Talk.
Wow.
You've been saying it for longer than I have, AJ, but I've been saying it now for 6 months. Jericho's Vortex is a real thing, and it is not a good thing. The crowd have now got smart to it. Finally. The crowd have now got smart. Yes, he's a living legend. He's on my Rushmore. He's one of the greatest ever. For some people, he's the GOAT. I get it. All of these things are true. AEW have outgrown Chris Jericho. The sensibilities that he has as a wrestler, that doesn't mean he hasn't got anything left to give. It's not what I'm saying, because he's got all the talent in the world. Jericho, and I don't mean in his current presentation or character, Jericho as he is, Jericho the human, in his utmost arrogance, doing things like trademarking the Jericho Vortex. I'm like, bro, it's a negative comment towards you. People aren't complimenting you, but I'm trademarking it. Wizard Mountain. No. What are you doing, Chris? Real talk. This isn't slamming the other company. I think as he currently is, with that hubris of his, he'd be better suited in WWE. I actually think he'd do bits there as a kind of little legend return run, maybe. But he's got out of shape, Ben. Again, he can't really go. I worry tremendously about what happens with Hook next. Hook's fantastic. It still bemuses me that people don't see what I see, but again, everyone to their own. But Hook is an amazing wrestler. He is so smooth in the ring. He is so aware of what sequence is coming. His footwork is incredible. And you know what? He may not have the top end mic skills, but he's cool, man. And this is something I was relating to you earlier, AJ, off cam, when we were talking about Damian Priest and Star Power. It's kind of like the porn argument, isn't it? When porn was being legalized or criminalized in the US, and the judge famously said, I can't define porn, but I know it when I see it. Star power is that inescapable quality. It's the same thing. Cody Rhodes has got star power. John Cena has got star power. The Rock has got star power, right? Hook has got star power. He's a rough diamond. That kid is a star. He is cool. You can't teach cool. You can act cool. He's just naturally cool.
My man, I think like you missed the part where AJ was talking about the main event, not the Jericho match.
No,
I was talking Jericho.
Oh, okay. All right, I missed that part.
yeah, my man.
Jericho, man. I don't know. I agree with some of what you're saying. Yeah, like I
What
do
do you
think
disagree
that.
with? Let's have a debate.
Well, all right. I still think Jericho has stuff to contribute. I actually like the fact that he's FTW champion now. I think it's banter. Yeah, I do think maybe he needs to switch up his gimmick. I think one thing that is the problem for him right now is the current Chris Jericho Lionheart gimmick. Get it? Yeah.
Nope.
It's not really entertaining. It seems a bit like washed up in it. Yeah. And to be honest, I feel if he switches it up and does something different with his heel persona, lean into it, but lean into it in a correct way. He's still got more to give. Like,
But he already switched it up, Big Tone. When he came out at Dynasty, it didn't say Lionheart. He came out as the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. He's already switched up his gimmick.
Man. Like, look, when I say switch it up like how you did with the Painmaker or whatever. Yeah, like your Jericho Dynasty.
Le Champion is a long time ago.
I feel like Jericho can do his thing still, and there's still like a place for him on the card. As for Hook, don't worry about Hook. Like Hook has got many years. He's a youngster. Like to be honest, like he's nowhere near like the world title level yet.
No.
In a few years, and like just let him get ready. It's just another step on his journey, innit? To what he's doing. I feel like Jericho at this point, can he still elevate younger talent and give him a place on the card? Sure. Like
Ricky Starks may disagree with you.
Is some of his stick a bit like overdone, a bit like undercut these days. Yeah, I guess you could say that, but I still think he has something to contribute. Yeah, that's just me, Chris.
Okay. Here's the question for the benefit of it, because we all know that Hook is going to come back and beat Jericho because the FTW title just seems to go back to the Taz family, essentially. He's going
to be in NXT in the next 3 weeks.
Well, maybe turn the belt with him. But here's the thing: out of all the people that are in AEW to be like, this is the elevation for Hook, do you still feel that Hook beating Jericho for that title means right now he's ready for the next level? Because that's what it should be. Taking on Jericho, because you're saying it's
he's already beat him. He's already beat him.
I feel like it's Jericho the belt collector more than the joke of it. It's more for Jericho's accolade of there's another belt to his name.
Yep.
What is it doing for Hook? This is what, going back to my prediction, like what is it really doing for Hook? Because he'll beat him and then he's still kind of stuck in that same territory. And that's the problem. Had he
let me ask you both a question. Yeah. What has Hook done prior to like Jericho? What was the most interesting feud he's had?
Samoa Joe, he fought for the world title a few weeks ago.
No, that's like months ago, wasn't it? I was at the top of the year.
A few weeks ago.
Can I be honest? I don't know if the rest of the world will bring it. And I don't know if everyone else will agree, because weirdly enough, people hate him, and it will lead into our next match. I actually like what was going on with Jungle Hook. I think him and Jack Perry were building into something, and had All In not happened, it would have been a much more interesting program.
My point is that
happened.
My point is there's been big gaps between Hook being like in a program, and like with someone doing this thing, and like now you're asking what it does for him. It puts him on TV against a big, well-known worldwide star. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to elevate him from it. I'm just saying it's good to be on TV against Jericho.
I don't know if it is. Ricky Starks would disagree with everything you just said. How's he doing nowadays?
Whose fault is that? Like that AEW don't follow up on
that game. So so you are being sucked in by the Jericho vortex here, my friend. Because
it's a simple thing is you can't turn around and say, "All right, he's with Jericho."
Okay, how about the whole of the JA? How about all of the JAS?
It's not Jericho's fault that he's not a big star.
Okay, so
it's just like it depends what you're doing with a person.
Tone.
Like look at you're bringing up appreciation society, innit? The only one they're doing right by is Daniel Garcia. Why? Because they're on TV utilizing him. That's got nothing to do with Jericho. It's got everything to do with booking.
No, but the vortex of Jericho is describing that when stars work with Jericho, whose role at this point in his career should be to get the younger stars over, just like Danielson just did with Ospreay. Although I don't know, I appreciate Ospreay's not young, but he's young to AEW. The point is for these old Sea Dogs is to elevate the younger stars. Of late, maybe when Jericho was kind of around Le Champion time or doing his old fuzzy, I say old, but when he was around Le Champion or just post Champion, did he elevate Orange Cassidy? Sure. Debatable. I question how much he actually elevated MJF. I don't think he did, personally. That feud I thought was pretty dead.
Dinner or whatever it was called did not help MJF. I don't think it did.
It didn't. That association with Jericho, with Ricky Starks, whether that's, I don't care if it's Tony Khan doing it. There seems to be a trend of when you've done a program with Jericho, you end up off TV. JAS, Ricky Starks. Let's see how this plays out with Hook. I don't think they're going to go into a program. I hope you're right and that this breaks the trend.
They're going to have to for the title to get back.
Not necessarily. They could put the title on someone else. They've been talking about doing that for ages. Hook's now held this title over 500 days. He could be ready to go up to the higher card, in which case my whole argument here falls apart. But let's see what happens with that. The Hook thing, we need to let it play out. I can't predict what's going to happen this week on Dynamite or for the coming months. But of late, an association with Jericho is a ticket straight to catering. Whether that's Jericho to blame or not, it seems to be a curse. That's what they call the Jericho vortex. You wrestle with this guy, you end up off TV. Freaking
I personally just think in it like Jericho, maybe there's too much stuck in like Jericho's here to elevate guys or anything. Jericho is just another guy on the card, and he's another time slot that fills TV every week. And he's what you call it, another recognizable face, isn't it? So again, putting yourself next to Jericho in the match, innit, that can't be a bad thing. When the CML guy comes over and wrestles Jericho for the first time, I don't think he's thinking to himself, oh, like I'm gonna get buried now. I'm gonna be trapped in this vortex. He's just happy to be sharing TV time with Jericho.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure Hook felt the same.
Look, there'll be another episode on who is Jericho and what is Jericho. We'll do that because I don't want to kill Dynasty based on this Jericho. But the same way we had a poster all over that was promoting Brian Danielson versus Will Ospreay all over. And that was like the main poster, even though it's not the main event. The fact that Jericho is in a match should have some impact. People were either uncaring or disappointed. And I think that's the sad bit behind it.
Well, the crowd showed it was both.
And that's the sad bit. But look, as I said, a Jericho discussion comes, but let's play the game, as I said. Yes, we saw the return of a certain Jack Perry in a ladder match that, look, the gimmick helped it. I don't know if I was excited by hearing these two names take on each other because I'd like to see another tag team step up. But yeah, let's talk FTR and the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a ladder match. I don't think this is going to register in the pantheon of great ladder matches. WWE put on really good ladder matches. The Bucks have a history of putting on really good ladder matches. And to be honest, the last ladder match I can remember FTR in, which was against the Briscoes, I believe, on Ring of Honor, was incredible. This match, I don't think registers in the pantheon of great ladder matches, but I was entertained. These guys, other than apparently at Wembley Stadium, don't tend to really have that bad a match. There were some nice throwbacks to their previous matches too. I'll tell you what, man, Cash Wheeler is really, really coming along nicely. He's really finally coming out of his shell and showing what he can do. I like it. I'm still not sold on Dax Harwood, though. He's stiff as a freaking tree, that guy. And I don't mean stiff. I mean immobile as a tree. I just don't see the appeal. But if you like him, that's fine. They botched the spot at the end a little bit. It very minor, and it was one of those. If you didn't catch it, it wouldn't have ruined the match. But I saw it, and it just made me go, "I see." Okay, caught. Dax was up the ladder, and Jungle Boy clearly didn't arrive on cue, so he had to go down one step and then go climb back up and then go. And you could see, like in the background, Jungle Boy was like, "Ah, shit! I need to get in there on time." So there was a very, very minor timing botch, but I liked it. I liked the whole Elite sign at the end, and I think Jungle Boy aligning himself with the Elite, perfection, absolute perfection. I think we've been saying, all three of us, how good Jungle Boy is for years now. AJ, I know he's been your favorite wrestler in AEW for ages. He's a talent. The guy's a real talent, and I think him working with Okada and the Bucks, come on.
It's weird that a lot of people hate him. But here's a question, kind of linking.
Of course, because they're punk marks, which is fine. But that's
no, but
the CM Punk syndrome.
Before that, there was a lot of hate, but then it came up a lot more. Question: do you think Jericho being part of the Elite would help him?
Oh God, no! I don't. He doesn't need help. He's a living legend. What does he need help with?
Well, it plays into the gimmick, innit? It plays into the gimmick of the burial.
I do not want Jericho anywhere near Okada. He can breathe his, purified air of Wizard Mountain in his own time. I do not want Okada anywhere under the learning tree. Are you kill me with that idea, AJ? Do not even put that energy AJ, out there.
To answer the question, Jericho doesn't need it. Like Jericho just needs to reinvent himself again with a gimmick that actually works. Yeah. Because what he's doing right now is making the crowd turn against him.
Cool.
And in terms of this match, again, it did what it was. Was it one of the most classic matches I've ever seen involving a ladder? Probably not. But was I entertained? Yes. Did I like the ending? Very much so. Again, it makes me laugh out that people thought that Jack tearing up his AEW contract was real.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think
people are funny, man.
I thought he may have been released. I actually did think he was released, and I thought he was going to do it.
He's not released.
He would have been sued so hard for doing.
And again, Tony Khan being very tactical. You bring him back right after you did the silliness with the all-in footage, yeah. And so now he's on TV. They're interested in him. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with him.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. Man, a man to be honest. I did actually say, okay, now I get the footage. Now it makes sense. Well played. That because at first I hated every minute of that footage. When I saw that, I was like,
me too.
Okay, you got me. Well played, Tony. Maybe I first.
I don't know how much of that was planned, though, AJ. Listen, I love hearing you praise AEW. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how much of this was a tactical plan because it put the company in a really bad light airing that footage.
Really bad light. I still don't agree.
And I don't think any superstar return can take precedence over a company's public image. There are literally people still now, less so in St. Louis, thank God. But for the last few weeks on Dynamite, when the Bucks come out, CM Punk chants start. Not a good look when your own fan base are singing a name of a guy in the other company. Bad look. And they brought that completely on themselves. So
100%. But I think this might be a bit of damage control in bringing Jack in at this point. And if that's the case, just like, we give Triple H and The Rock kudos for their, course correction. This is good course correction, Tony. This is the type of thing you should be doing.
It is.
Right.
Scapegoat Jack Perry is a good character. If he can buy into that and become like this is a throwback. Kind of like if Gene Snitsky didn't suck. If he can tap into the whole "it wasn't my fault" thing, I think that could be a bit of fun, actually.
But it helps to have corporate.
What I think is that he really should be their boy. He should be their prodigy, innit? Kind of like how in The Authority. Yeah, you had Randy Orton as the guy, which the equivalent is Okada is their guy. But then the next one coming up was Seth Rollins, isn't it? Yeah, so you could do that. The next one coming up is Jack Perry.
100%. I think this is a very, very good thing. I'll say I don't want the Elite to grow too much bigger. I'd say, I don't want it to grow beyond sort of 4, maybe 5 at a push, because then at least you get your blood and guts match.
I think there's space for a 5th.
Yeah, you need it for blood and guts, of course.
but it'll be your boy.
What bring
The
Hangman back?
the same one they kicked out. The same one they kicked out.
Hangman.
What Hangman?
Yeah. Go for gold. Go for gold. But anyway, before we get into going for gold, let's talk about some retaining of gold and some changing of gold. Let's talk about the women's action. Let's give some praise to the women out here. We had a TBS match and an AEW women's title match. Thoughts on either, guys?
Yeah, look, I'm glad that they actually just didn't mess about with the TBS title match. Like, Willow's been on a hell of a roll. They've obviously been setting up for quite some time. They want Mercedes and Willow to be the feud, following on for their feud for the New Japan Strong inaugural Women's Championship. That is the match they want. Willow came out here. She's always nice and happy-go-lucky. She just looked powerful, strong, and dominant here. And she absolutely slaughtered Julia Hart, yeah. And, like, become the new champion. Mercedes coming out, like, yeah, a little bit pointless, but they wanted to get the money's worth, I guess. So there is that.
And money's worth.
She pointed to the double or nothing sign, Big Turn, and did that. Which means she's going to get a title shot. She's still got that fed in her. I must point.
If you want to talk about Timeless versus Thunder, listen, man. That match actually reminded me how good Thunder Rosa is, man, because, again, we haven't actually been able to see that for quite some time since she's being back. Here, she's truly reminded us why she is main event. And, like, I hope they just can keep that momentum going. I know she's lost now, but, again, just don't send her back. What I feel
she needs to rebuild.
Is, again, with their women division, is even when someone leaves, don't take the women off TV. Can we have some individual feuds? Yeah, just like some, blood feuds against them so they can keep the momentum going until they're ready for another title shot.
Yeah, Big Turn. You got to remember in AEW, and it's starting to creep its way into WWE, the women's matches very much feel like token gestures now, to the degree, especially in AEW, on Dynamite, when the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away.
Do you know
but on Collision, it's not like that.
Collision, I don't know. I don't watch it often enough. On Dynamite, that's literally it. They need to make space for more women's matches, They need to also acknowledge the ladies in Ring of Honor like Athena, who has had such a great last 12 to 18 months. She needs to get back on TV now. She could be challenging Timeless Tony Storm next. Speaking of which, because I don't really have anything to add on what you said in the women's matches, agree with it all. Who is going to dethrone Tony Storm? Is it going to be a returning Jamie Hayter or Britt Baker?
That was my thing. That was my thing in my prediction. I was like, we're getting to a point now where we need to start thinking, who is that? Dare I say she's a bit in Rhea territory, where you put up opponent and you're like, yeah, but no. Literally, yeah, but no. I don't know. I think, honestly, Britt Baker, if she is still staying with the company, will be the one. I think that will be the return that makes everyone go, okay.
If I was a better man, I would put my money on Britt, basically, because again, she would make sense. She's a massive star. However, they could swerve us, innit? Yeah, and again, you don't even need Mercedes to win the TBS championship. Yeah, she could go after the world championship instead. Yeah, or they could really just hammer it home and they could be the first double
all the gold.
Yep, exactly.
Mercedes with all the Monet.
Yeah, that would.
I'll say this, and I'm going to turn this into a little vertical video actually, just so we can upload it to the channel. I think it's really funny that Eric Bischoff hasn't had any video come out, and there's no video scheduled about how good the Ospreay Danielson match was and about how good the Dynasty pay-per-view was. All quiet on the 83 weeks front. I see you, Easy. I see you.
I might need a bit of context on that. I know he's not an AEW fan.
Oh, he hates Tony Khan. And the thing is that the criticisms he levels at him, I actually agree with a lot of them. He comes at it very much from a business standpoint. If you want to be super indies, if you want to book your dream matches, that's cool. But you are literally working with a broadcaster now. You've got to start putting butts in seats. he says it in a much more Eric Bischoff way, which is really smarmy and nasty. But the crux of what he's saying, there's a lot of truth to it. But he never attributes praise like Mercedes Moné is a waste of money. That's literally the title of one of his recent videos. I'm like, bruv, I love you, Eazy-E, but when you say things like that, you really lose credibility. It just really screams agenda, agenda, agenda. And when you're not going to have the decency to be like, you know what? That was a hell of a match. Because Dave Meltzer, who is a New Japan guy, made Triple H his Booker of the Year last year. I do not agree, but that's fine. Meltzer, who everyone hates Uncle Dave. Love him. He's the first to say, like, look, he owned it this year. Here's my reasons why. Do I agree with him? No. But what it does show is that there's no agenda. Do I agree with Dave when he's saying WWE in the last 20 years have not put on a 7-star in a Tokyo Dome ranked match? I agree with that 100%. But it's not what the company's geared towards. That's why everyone puts so much credence on these ratings. It's like, yeah, but he's coming at it from purely like match quality rating. And as we've all said on the channel numerous times, the Fed are all about their moments. AEW are all about their dream matches. It's you can't compare the two. Like they're both wrestling, but it's so different.
Two different companies, right? Before we talk main, I'm just gonna breeze over this because all of us were shocked, even though I still regret not saying that slight hint of it. The trios match, was it any good or was it actually
you know what, that trios match was decent, you know. And to be honest, I was very happy with the outcome because again they got me. You could not have convinced me in it, that Copeland and his dream team of champions, was gonna like walk out with the L, And to be honest, even less than that, you could not have convinced me in it, not for money, that Copeland was gonna take the L. But hey, I'm glad he did. I'm glad in it they're showing House of Black the respect to it they deserve, and hopefully now they can go into a program with Copeland, and hey, it might even lead to Malachi getting his first singles championship in it.
I was about to say this. Thank you. What is the obsession with not giving Malachi Black a singles run? Like, what are we doing?
It's coming. I'm like,
God, get there faster.
Well, look, Tony's finally crowning Black champions, so that is
because again, I was like thinking in it that for a minute that Copeland was going to be another Sting where he's just going to be undefeated at like pay-per-views, but hey, no, he proved that he took the L himself, because that could have been anyone. You could have done that to Briscoe, you could have done that to Kingston, no one would have bat eyelid, but no, he took the miss, he took the L. And it's funny how things go full circle, isn't it? Because not only did he get kicked out by the Judgment Day, who were once the House of Beta, now he's taking on the House of Black proper.
It's funny that I actually didn't make that connection. Well done.
I remember Den said like maybe he'll take over the AEW version of Judgment Day. I was like, oh, interesting. But yeah, well played. So I'm happy to it was a good match. Now let's get into the thing. Now I'll say this now. The minute I saw Swerve come out like Black Panther, I was like, okay.
He did it better than MVP. He did it better than MVP. Fact.
I just said I screwed up. I just screwed up instantly. I was like,
100%. I knew straight away when he come out like that. I just knew, damn. There goes my point. I'm happy. I'm happy for Swerve because, to be honest, like he deserves it. I actually did say in my review video, one thing I'm worried about is sometimes AEW missing the mark while someone is ultra hot, and that's what I thought was going to be the issue here. But no, they did what they needed.
They're learning.
They did what they should do. They're learning, And again, the new champion, deservedly so, is Swerve Strickland. After a banging match with Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe, man, like, you know, even though his title run wasn't that long, it was still great. It was dominant. He's a monster. And you can put Samoa Joe in any part of the card. He's going to be.
He's AEW's Randy Orton. You can insert him any moment into the top card and you don't question it.
Exactly, man. But that match again was another contender for me for match of the night, man. Swerve is so good in the ring and can win people over because you was worried that there was going to be a bit of deadness, especially after we just seen one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. Yeah, and then like you following that up with this main, but no, the crowd got into it. Swerve is a unique talent, man. He's much more than just like the showboat and dance and music, man. He's like the complete package when you put all of that together. And he's the perfect
Stylistically,
person to
yeah.
represent, like African Americans, being black. Yeah.
He's
As a world
very
champion.
interesting stylistically. There's not a lot of wrestlers I've seen wrestle who are like him. He's very, very much ground out his own style, which I admire. And he tells a damn good story between the ropes, man. Like the cadence of his matches rather, is really good. He knows when to lie down and take a beating. He knows exactly when to turn the cadence up. He knows when to turn the heat up, win the crowd over, knows when to do the near falls. Mark of a really good wrestler, as we've always said, is you can kind of put them in with a broom. You can put them in with anyone. Like, I haven't seen Swerve really have bad matches in the last 12 to 18, Like, damn, I mentioned this spoiler because it didn't actually make my match of the year last year, but that madness he did with Hangman was a contender at one point for my match of the year. Like he can kind of do it all. He's good with the high flying stuff. He's got great groundwork. He can go face or heel. His promo game has come on so far. Like, God, he's good now. He's very real. I do wonder though, how they're going to swerve us because he has to go heel. He's going to hold until Wembley. He's going to drop to Ospreay. That's my call. But you can't have Ospreay going into Wembley heel.
No. Look, honestly, I just think this is going to be face versus face because even if they try and turn him heel, Swerve is the type of person that's just going to get cheered anyway, innit? Yeah? Because of like the dance, because of the whole
whose house?
Slight, yeah, exactly. The chance, the bit of comedic, the comedic flair to his whole act, yeah. Like all of that is going to make him liked. So yeah, Ospreay versus him. What? Instead of going the whole deep story of classic babyface versus heel, it's just going to be about what what Danielson did and what Ospreay did. It's going to be an excellent wrestling match with two of the best today, and that's what they're going to aim to give us, the best wrestling match possible.
Look, All In One gave us two faces for the title, and it was awesome in Cole versus MJF. The clash of better than
new baby. Oh, I miss them.
On the other side, like, it doesn't have to just be a one-on-one. Like, insert someone like Hangman in there, another feud from Ospreay. You can have a good fatal four-way for the title, and it would be a banger of a match. Maybe Daniel Bryan's in there,
I don't think he'll ever fight for the title again. He's kind of insinuated that he doesn't want to be in that picture. He's got his own
don't have to hold.
No, I don't think he wants to be in the title picture, AJ. I think he's made that really clear.
Fair play, but what I'm saying is there are ways that you can insert stuff to make it great.
Yeah, there's Adam Cole. That would be a good shout to be in there, man. Hell, throw in Adam Cole and MJF in there. You got a banger of a fatal four-way there. One thing I'm going to say about Swerve, which is very interesting, Swerve is actually the first guy coming over from the WWE side. Yeah, predominantly that's where he was before. Yeah, he's the first guy to finish the story. Yeah, to actual completion, become world champion. I find that very interesting. Out of all the people that's come over, he's the guy that's actually made it to the mountaintop.
I just have to look and say we've come a long way from Swerve in Our Glory, and dare I say we've even come a long way from Hit Row. Like, Hit Row was something. It was a big move. No. You can't.
Forget Hit Row, man. It's NXT Swerve.
That version of Hit Row. Yeah, the NXT Hit Row pre-Swerve, like with Swerve, was something. The rebranding and the SmackDown version was absolutely dead.
No, that's what I was rolling my eyes at.
It was absolutely terrible. But from that, like, they were big. But even that, he didn't hold. He wasn't NXT champ, was he? He done the North American.
He was what do you call it? I think he might be cruiserweight champion, or was it I think it was
Who was that
cruiserweight
other
North America.
African American dude who he kept? They were kind of playing hot potato with the title. Really skinny little guy.
Was it not coming? Oh yeah, Leon Ruff or something like that.
That's it, Leon Ruff.
Yeah. Yeah. Flash in the pan with respect, but yeah, from being the North American champ, and that's the thing. We're not even talking US champ or IC champ. Swerve didn't excuse me. Swerve was at that level, mid card of the developmental show, to hold in. Has a very, very big elevation, and congrats to the guy for it. It's huge. I'm happy for him.
It's
very
cool. I'm very happy to see it. The match was genuinely highly entertaining. Here's the interesting thing. I knew the result of this match, but weirdly, I still kind of bought into it. I kind of got really, really hyped for it because of the anticipation of Swerve winning the title, of course. With all the respect in the world to Danielson and Ospreay, the stakes were obviously higher in this match because it's for the big title. Not just who's the best wrestler in the world, but gold on the line. You buy into it more, and man, it was a cool in-ring story those two told. I really liked it. Again, calling spot misses, or I wouldn't call this a botch, but it was he missed a spot. So AJ, I know you haven't seen it, so let me try and describe it for you. He had Joe set up sitting on the top turnbuckle. This was how the match ended.
I think I've seen that online. Yeah.
What's his the house call? He wanted, and Samoa Joe's back was towards the ring, so he's looking out towards the crowd. Yeah, sitting on the top turnbuckle. Swerve is standing in front of him, and his plan was to jump over Samoa Joe, give him the house call, and that was going to put Joe to the ground. He missed his kick, and it was like, oh no, damn, because it would have looked like a really cool spot, but he literally just got back up and power bombed him off the top and gave him a swerve stomp. But it's a shame that top rope house call didn't connect, because that would have been a real highlight moment. It's like the Rob Van Dam heel kick on Jeff Hardy that never was. You'll look back on it and go, oh, if that had landed.
If it had landed, yeah. But look, congratulations to the new champ. Congratulations to AEW on what seemed like a fantastic pay-per-view, one that's new to their calendar as well. So that's a lot of good stuff out there. We're not going to really touch on pre-show, guys, because it is what it is. Bullet Club Gold, holding all the gold. Cool.
That is good. That is good. That is a good thing. I'll touch on that just briefly. Hopefully, this means you are doing right by Jay White, and you got something for him in the future. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Last thing I'll say on it, which we kind of referenced, is that it's really nice to see that the people booking the matches and the story threads in AEW are clearly learning from their mistakes, whether that be holding off too long on giving us the dream match that we all want, holding off too long on putting the guy over who's white hot, whether that be trying to force matches that don't need to be forced, whether it be waiting until the very, very, very last moment to fill a pay-per-view card. All of these things, they've done much better recently. Like Revolution, that card was full 6 weeks before the pay-per-view aired. Dynasty, they threw one or two in at the last minute, but that card was mostly full. Because what that means is that their episodic TV is better, because we know the match is announced, so we're just building towards that. It feels very nice and old school in that sense. And it's stuff that they didn't do in 2023 and they've learned from. So, listen, they made a PR faux pas a few weeks ago with that whole Punk stuff. But I like the way they've just kind of moved on from it. And let's focus on what we do best, which is deliver dream matches. That's what the company is about. Keep the ball rolling. AEW do great pay-per-views. Love it.
More than anything, I think it's the pay-per-view they needed. Because not only are you the first pay-per-view across wrestling after Mania, you're also following that faux pas. People were wondering if AEW was on the ropes. And to be able to deliver solid, kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
And we
One-
need
one- one
multiple
more thing.
wrestling companies. We do. The rising tide raises all ships. I want WWE to do well. I want AEW to do well. I want TNA to do well. I want freaking GCW to do well. Everyone
Don't
doing
promote
well
that
means,
please.
huh?
Yeah.
Leave it
Don't
out.
promote-
Everyone doing well means that everyone is competing, which means they're raising their game, which means we as audiences get better product to watch at the end of the day. And how many people are in the stadium? I don't care.
Yeah, one more
Tony.
thing I think should be touched on. If you haven't watched it, go watch the post show. If only to see what timeless Tony Storm did, because she's hilarious, man. Every time she shows why that gimmick is just so good and so funny.
It's very good. It's very good.
But look, now you're making me extend. Was it funny? Yes. Was it good? I get it. Stop calling out the other side, man. Please. It does me.
Osprey?
Huh?
You talking
Storm.
about Osprey
He
here?
said timeless Tony Storm.
Oh, I thought you were referencing Osprey
No,
mentioning
he said
Triple
it. He
H.
said it. He's like, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
But AEW as a whole, stop calling it out. Who cares about your cinema, your chills, your levels? But I thought to me, levels was more Osprey than anyone else. And then I will never.
Yeah, no, but come on, bruv. That's a small thing. I didn't even notice that. What I noticed was the hilariousness when as soon as she got put on the spot, she just slammed everything down and left.
Brilliant.
And even Tony was like, was she supposed to do that? What's she doing?
Listen, man.
She just improv that and just walked off.
They both need to slow their roll with it because look, are AEW far more guilty of having a culture of doing this historically? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sorry, Paul Levesque is a dumbass, having the greatest, in some people's mind, the greatest WrestleMania ever, the greatest main event ever. He's in a press conference. What does he do? We're here for people with the grind, not for people who don't grind in tattoo stadium numbers on their arm. I'm like, that comment has aged like freaking milk. It has soured to
but the
such
reason
a
behind
degree.
the difference being you're being asked.
Oh, you're going to defend this.
No, you're being asked. What you're saying is irrelevant. Is shit. I get. But what he's doing, he's knocking a man down once he's been asked. What do you feel about losing certain signings? He didn't just randomly pot call for the guy. He's answering a question.
How are you going to go and question Will Ospreay's work ethic and grind? At least be real. At least be real.
Shut it down to make yourself look grandiose. Anyone would do that. But on the up, no, you're going to say he's going to just stand there and just sit and praise the guy. It doesn't happen. No company would do it.
To your comment, the thing to do, this is your words, is shut it down and be like, I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about my guys and the fact that I've just put on the greatest WrestleMania ever. That's what you should have done. Not this, Will. It's like, one, it stinks of sour grapes because it's like you didn't offer him enough money and now you haven't got him. Two, there was no truth to it. Because to say to a guy who stayed away from his family in Japan during a COVID time and then who travels on the weekly all over the world that he's not in it for the grind? Man, shut up. Behave.
You see, the thing is with this whole petty Roosevelt, back and forth in it, between the companies. The one thing it does do is create intrigue and talking, because again, we talk far too long on the show about these things, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a talking point for wrestling, for wrestling media.
And isn't it? And that was Will's reaction, wasn't it? When they asked him about Triple H, you could see he literally jumped. Oh God, do we have to talk about this again? I feel for him, man. It's like, why are we talking about Triple H when he's just put on, to quote my man Big Tone, one of the greatest matches ever? Can we please talk about the damn match?
Listen, I think some of the people that have been invited to some of these press aren't really worth the credit, and I'm not knocking them as
really not.
Like, to me. All right, no, we'll leave it for another time because I'm not.
This is a good discussion, though. This is a really good discussion.
Yeah, it is.
The state of modern wrestling media and fandom. That's a really good discussion.
That's the one. It's a different conversation for a different time, guys. But just before that,
next week,
1 hour number. I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
I'm Double V, the Viceroy of Verisimilitude, Nico Liro.
And I'm Big Toe, the champion at the zone.
You didn't win this one, no. Anyway, guys, we out.
Hey, I came second. Runner up, good enough.